What was the turning point of making this like a career that you have today that you still enjoy so much?
I think it was the people need people, and as long as you can be there for somebody, even if you don't think they need it, just ask.
It feels like breaking up with a girlfriend when you leave a gym.
There's a bigger thing to this than just picking up a barbell and a dumbbell.
The more technology that we have, the harder it is to find community.
When you're looking at yourself and you're like, hey, I don't really like what I'm going through, or what I'm going through is really hard, keep going.
Well, Nate Garcia,
what's up?
Welcome to the WILLPOWER podcast, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Dude, I am so thankful that you're here. You know, it's crazy because I feel like I always think of this quote that some people are in your life for a season, and then there's very few people that are in your life for a reason, like a bigger purpose. And, you know, I just turned 30 this year, which
It's a big milestone.
We won't talk about that because that was very like midlife crisis to me.
What?
Yeah. And then but I kind of went through my entire like 20s, and I was like, okay, so I was working at this place from this age to this age. I was going to this gym from, and then I thought about CrossFit Eclipse, which for anybody that hasn't heard your name, you're the head coach there at CrossFit Eclipse.
Yes, sir.
You've been doing that for how long now?
So I've been in CrossFit, the realm of it, as far as a coach, for like 12, 13 years.
So,
and then I've been at Eclipse for 8, going on 9. And I've been there for 8, 9 years now.
And you are one of the biggest like motivators that I've ever met. Like, I love being around people like you. And where I was going with that is that I can only think of 2 people that I've really stayed connected with after we left that gym, which by the way, anybody listening to this podcast, if you've ever tried CrossFit and you've never left a gym, it's the weirdest thing. It's like breaking up with a girlfriend almost.
It is. It's a big like, do we need to do this? Like, is this something that I really want to do? And I mean, it's funny, man, because I mean, we'll have people that come through that phase where they've been with us for years, and very similar to you, like you moved. Totally get it. It's a part of life. You find a new home for your family who's growing. Very similar to my wife and I. We just went through the same thing, and it was like, we've had people just come up to us and be like, hey, what do we do? Like, I'm like, well, you can still come. Like, you're only like 10 minutes further down the road. Like, it's not that far, but they're like, but we are halfway across town, and it's a commitment. I'm like, it is for sure. But if not, the beauty of it now is like, hey, there's so many places that you can go, and you encourage people to go to other CrossFit gyms and experience them, because it is. I mean, everybody runs things differently, but you want people to experience that, whether a good experience or a bad experience. Like, you want them to go see for themselves, and then you really know it's like, okay, we made the right choice or a good choice.
Yeah. And I will say I was very, very lucky, because I would put the gym that I'm at right now and then Eclipse in like the top gyms in the Tulsa area, and I've done a lot of drop-ins. And yeah, for me, I mean, we could have walked to the gym from where we were at before, and then so it's like, man, it's now going to be like 20-25 minutes or whatever, and I'm just like, oh yeah. But I made that decision, and then I'm like, hey, yeah, I think we're not going to be coming here. It was just the weirdest thing. But you and Jordan and Ashlyn Phillips are for whatever reason, nothing against anybody else, but it was just like, some people are in your life for a season, and then others for a reason. And I know we haven't been as close as other people that I surround myself with, but I think that there's a purpose behind that. And I think it's truly like your attitude, your perspective in life is really infectious. And I think that just goes a long way, and people don't really realize that. So I appreciate you for that, man. I appreciate being here. Yeah. And so a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. First of all, people are going to see, we might not even put CrossFit on the title, because some people look, that was me, dude.
Well, you may not actually be able to. It's like a lawsuit. You have to like pay for their name to be utilized, things like that. So
okay. Well, but I'm saying, like, when people hear that word, they think like, yeah, I don't want to go get injured. For most part, like, people associate it with like bad stuff.
Either whether that be, the number one would be like, people, I don't want to get hurt, or I don't want to, I see people all the time and they're throwing up, and it's like, you know what, at the end of the day, again, good places are good places for a reason. But what I tell someone is like, hey, whether it's like, hey, friends who are reaching out to me, like, hey, I see you do CrossFit, I'm really intimidated. What do you think? And I'm like, well, what are you doing on Monday? Like, can you come in? Like, there's no other way to get someone committed to something unless they actually try it. There's no level of description that's going to probably satisfy what they want to hear outside of them putting themselves through it and just seeing what it's like. And I feel like that's with anything, because like at the end of the day, you either like something or you love something or you don't. And then you kind of move on, or you find, you know, the right things that fall in your life that you can follow through. And so at the end of the day, when it comes to this, it's like, hey, I've fallen in love with this and I know the benefits of it because I've seen it. I live it every single day. And so I want people to experience that.
And for me, it's like I never want to live in regret, right? So I did not want to try CrossFit, but Destiny, my wife, was like, we got to try it. And then so I went, and it just took one try for me to be like, okay, I'm hooked.
Oh yeah.
And so anybody that's out there that's been that has any negative thoughts, I guarantee you most of those people have never tried it.
Yes.
But I do agree with you. It matters where you go because of those things, rather whether you're getting taught even the basics, right? Which that leads me to my next thing. That would you say that it's harder for guys to come into CrossFit and then enjoy it as fast as maybe a female would come in?
I say this all the time. I think the females in our gym are a lot tougher than the guys in our gym, and for that reason, right? Guys feel the need to be the big tough guy, and when you realize, hey, there are other tough men in the gym who are able and capable of doing more than you, and most of the time it's our ladies who are able to do more and are more capable than you, and that can be a hard pill to swallow. And so a lot of it is like, hey, what is your lane? What is your goal? What is your purpose? That's been our mantra as at our gym, and kind of how we want people to go about their experience coming in. It's like, hey, what are you coming in here for? Is it for your overall health and well-being? Are you training for something? Is there a marathon you want to get ready for? Or is it, hey, you like competing and so you want to compete? You know, we have athletes who are in the college level. We have people who used to be in the collegiate level and are trying to find something for themselves, whether that's a community or a team. It is, man. It's just finding what it is you want to get out of the specific gym, whether that's CrossFit or somewhere else, and then just trying to figure out if that's the right place where you fit. But you have to try it first. And most of the people I deal with, it's like, hey, I don't know about if I want to go in, or my friend told me that they tried it and they didn't like it. Well, that was their experience. Like you have to come experience it for yourself and see what benefits you can gain from it, whether good or bad. And then if it's the wrong place, your heart will tell you. I mean, your place, like you'll know if these are the right people for you or if it's the motivating place you want to be in.
Yeah, and you'll know 100%. And I truly believe it is harder for guys to leave their ego at the door and go back to the basics.
Oh yeah.
But I think that's with everything, right? Like for example, with my job as a loan officer, I get coached and I coach loan officers, and in both groups, it's always like people want to complain and say, I'm not where I want to be. And then we go through a list of like, well, are we doing these basic things? And they're like, well, no. And it's like, well, why aren't we doing them?
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't have time. More excuses,
100%,
right?
Yeah.
So for, I remember, and also CrossFit can be very deceiving. I mean, for anybody like that's wondering, like a typical workout, yesterday's workout for me, it was the main workout was 3 rounds of 60 double unders, which you remember me like. That was the biggest humbler for me.
It's like the one frustrating movement. And for those of you that don't know, a double under, it's a double rotation of a jump rope. So you jump once, but you rotate the rope twice. As I say that, you're like, that sounds very simple. I can do that. I encourage you to go grab a jump rope right now and go try it. I've never had one movement make more people mad than that movement.
Did you struggle with it?
Oh yeah, just like everybody. Yeah, you leave the gym with whip marks on your back and your legs, and again, it's like, but you're like, man, I want to get better at that. Like the want to be like, this is hard, and I think that's what attracted me to CrossFit when I did it. It was like, man, this is really hard, and I'm not good at it, and I want to be good at it, and I want to get better at it, and I think that's what brings people back is like the want to be better.
And tell anybody that has never done CrossFit that the times that you go and then you just kill the workout and then you come in the next day and it's a completely different workout of something you're not good at.
Yeah.
And that happens every single day, I feel like.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's humbling.
It is very humbling. And the beauty of it is that it never gets easier because you only get stronger. And when you get stronger, things then become even more harder because now you're lifting more weights. You are pushing faster times and you're pushing yourself to go a little bit harder, which if you take a step back, you're like, man, I used to not be able to run a sub, 8-minute mile, 7-minute mile, 10-minute mile for most people. And now they're like, dude, I just ran a mile in under 6 minutes. Like, what happened? And it's just, hey, you showed up every day. That's all you did. You showed up every day. You put in the work. You put in the time, and look what the benefits of it are. And so
if you're willing to try it, you just have to be willing to go back to the basics. I was talking about yesterday's workout, by the way, which was 3 rounds of 60 double unders, and it was 30 strict press with just the bar.
Oh yeah,
just the bar.
That's where they get you.
And then 15 toasted bar, 3 rounds for that. Yep. I looked at that and I said, dude, this is going to be cake. This is that's where a lot of guys that have never tried it look at it.
Yes, 100%.
And then just say, are you serious? 95 pounds? Like,
oh yeah.
So,
or even the empty barbell, 45 pounds.
It's so deceiving.
Oh yeah.
It's so deceiving. So if you're wanting to try it, come and be willing to do the basics, and then also be willing to just be consistent.
Yeah. Consistency pays off in the long run. I mean, we encourage people to just, hey, and this is just anybody who's trying to get off the couch and start something 3 days a week. You can be consistent 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Because what that does is that allows you to give your days of rest in between, give your time to, okay, do I really enjoy doing that? And I look forward to doing it tomorrow. Or is it like, okay, I'm yearning for it and I need to go do it like right now. I'm gonna go do it today. I'm gonna go get my 3 days or my 4 days. And then you can slowly build off that.
So you grew up in Texas.
Yes, sir.
You were born there, right?
Yes, sir.
And then you came to Oklahoma to play soccer.
I did. I played at Rogers State in Claremore, Oklahoma.
There you go.
Go Hillcats.
Typical Hispanic person. People are always like, look at me and they're like, you play soccer? And I'm like, no, I didn't play soccer. But
I got that a lot. And my answer was like, oh yeah, I loved it. And I played for, 26, 25 years of my life.
So walk me through the story of like, how did you go from a college soccer player to a CrossFit coach?
Man, it was just, growing up, you play a lot of sports. My parents, thankfully, they exposed me to a lot of things. Lived a ranch life, lived on a farm, took care of horses, went to school, went to a private school my whole life, was exposed to a lot of things that I enjoyed doing, and that was sports. I mean, that was my outlet. Played everything from basketball, baseball, soccer, and then finally the decision came where I was like, okay, is it this one or this one? And I was like, man, I love soccer. And, I would think I would, I'm good at it. I was playing at a good level. I was playing on a club team in the Dallas area. And from there was scouted to go to a couple of schools, Rogers State being one of them. I took one trip, just like most of these, college recruits, and they were like, hey, we want you. And, I didn't know any better. I'm like, oh, this school wants me. And one, they're going to pay for my schooling, and this is awesome. So, I mean, I'm very happy with the decision I've made. I made all of my best friends I'm still very much in contact with, my teammates, my boys. Was a redshirt sophomore, so I played 5 total years of school. Was able to graduate with my wife because she was a year younger than me, so we graduated together. And then from there, found fitness in the sense of, hey, you know what? We were already waking up at 6 a.m. to train for school. And when we trained, you have to remember, which is crazy. This is like more than 10 years ago. I went to school in 2011. Weight training back then, it was not something we did. I mean, you think of college sports now.
So you were playing college soccer, and the soccer team was not required to train at all, like any time of the year.
We would train.
Like weight training though.
Yeah. What we did, we ran.
That's all.
And our coach ran us. And re-ran us.
How many miles do you think you were running at practice?
Dude,
I've never done soccer, so I'm just
easily like 4 or 5 at practice.
Our
preseason you have tests, and you're like, hey, your coach is obviously analyzing, okay, who put in work over the summer to get ready for the season. So obviously you have the 12-mile test. Can you run 12 miles under 12 minutes? Or 2 mile test. 2-mile test under 12 minutes. It's a 6-minute mile, back to back on a track, round circles. And that was one of our tests. And I just remember one day we ran from school to the track, which was Claremore High School. We ran to the track, okay, from school. So there's like a 2-mile run right there to the track. Then you had your tests. So you ran your test as hard as you possibly could to try to impress the coach. At the end of the day, you were trying to impress the coach. It'd be like, hey, this is where my fitness is at. And then from there, coach was like, okay, everybody follow me. And he ran back to the school. He ran, which was, I look back at it now and I'm like, you know what? That was pretty cool. He ran back he took us down a different loop to the school. So therefore you've ran 2 miles, you ran your 2-mile tests, right, at speed. And now he's making you chase him basically. And he was a fit coach, Coach Derek Larkin. Shout out Derek Larkin. He ran back and I remember us having to follow him and we were all just dying. And then we ran back to the school and then we ran hills. And you do that days on end.
So on that note, before I forget, but I want to keep on going through how you got into CrossFit. But so, you know, I just told you that I get coached and I coach people. And when you talk about like coaches in my industry, a lot of them are people that used to be top performers and do all this stuff. Now they just coach. Right. That's all they do. The people that I've been coached by, they're still doing it. Oh yeah. And they're still doing it at a higher level than I'm doing it. And that to me is where I feel like I can get the most from people. Right. The people that I'm coaching, like I'm still doing the same thing that I'm telling them to do. So tell me about the importance of following somebody that is, it's true. I mean, all I can think about is like back whenever I used to go to like Gold's Gym and I used to see personal trainers and some of these personal trainers would be overweight, but they would be telling you how to lose weight. How'd that make sense? I have no idea. Yeah, but maybe they had a story of like, hey, I used to bodybuild back in the day. I used to whatever. And then I think that the reason I wanted to interrupt that story and say that right now is because you're the prime example of it, dude. The other reason of why I started doing CrossFit because I'm a little competitive, just a little.
It's a little more than that, but okay. Yeah.
And I think I can count. I don't even know if I've ever beaten you in a workout.
I don't know. Don't know. And,
I don't think I have because I think if I would have,
you would remember.
I would remember.
Yeah, because you probably would have told me. And that's
every year I still look at the open every workout and I'm like, yeah. So with that being said, I think that's why I could get so much more from you. And then what was so even more frustrating to me is like, so earlier, actually yesterday I was supposed to have a podcast with a guy. He's like big into bodybuilding. And this dude's huge. He's like 6'5". He's like 250 pounds. Jeez. And then so of course it's like he's stronger than me. Yeah. Like, but it's like, of course, but dude, you and I are like the same size. So, that's what made it even more frustrating.
You're like, what is going on? Like, how is he so much better? But again, I think that just comes down to levels of experience, levels of time put in. I mean, you were new, but you, to the same point, you had done fitness before. Yeah. And you're like,
that's what makes it more frustrating.
And then again, that workout that you're like, oh, I'm going to crush this. And then it's like, no, this is a whole different ballgame now.
But tell me about the importance of learning from somebody in this realm that's actually doing it, because I think that you also probably have ran into coaches that are coaching CrossFit that they're not even doing it themselves, to where like, tell me about the importance of that.
And I'll say I've been there too. I mean, I think for the most part, I think anybody in a coaching realm, in a personal trainer or fitness setting, I think everybody's been there in the sense of, hey, you put in a lot of time either at the gym or with people, and sometimes you forget that, hey, I've got to take care of myself too. And you go down that rabbit hole of like, man, you know what? I'm tired. You know, I've coached all day. You know, I need to I'm just going to wind down. You know what? I can train tomorrow. And then obviously that spirals down the rabbit hole. But what pulls you out of that is you look at other people and the commitment level they're putting in and the times and the weights they're putting up or in. And it's like, okay, I'm falling behind. Like, I've got these new athletes who are crushing it and I'm not even close, right? Or you have coaches who are, you know, getting better in certain things and you have to take a step back and you're like, well, I don't know if I'm getting better because I haven't tested myself in a while. And so you find yourself, you know, falling back a little bit on that just by observing. Just look back and observe, like, what are people doing? People that you actually look up to and admire and you know they're working hard. It's like, okay, they're doing that. Okay, so I need to take a step back and I need to do this for myself. And even if that's just taking a step back in 5 minutes, the jump rope, right? The double under. All it took sometimes was just, hey, I need to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes for myself, and I just need to practice, right? And I think that's what got me was like, hey, there was a constant level of practice when it came to fitness outside of, and when the time came for me to graduate and get away from soccer, which was a sad time. You know, you're trying to figure out where you fit into this world, when all you know is, you know, this one sport that you've grown up playing, and you've got to figure out, well, okay, what's next? And I think that's most college athletes when they graduate, is figuring out what's next.
So I think a lot of people don't realize that people that work at gyms, it's way harder for them to work out than
a lot of people think I work out all day.
Yeah,
and that's far from the truth.
I mean, the people alone and being at the same place, it just kind of drains you, right?
I mean, one, you're on your feet all day.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really sit down, but I also prefer it that way. Like, I enjoy interacting with our members and enjoy being around our community. And, you know, coaching for the most part brings me a lot of joy. I mean, you've got to love it to do it at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
You have to really enjoy it to do it at 5 a.m. and let alone, you know, every day, every month for the last, you know, 7-8 years. So, oh yeah, I mean, that's just the commitment level and the enjoyment that comes from it. And your energy that is utilized to make sure everybody else is having a good time and wants to come back for more.
Would you say that in CrossFit specifically, that you will get better results from somebody that's doing it day in and day out and is trying to hit their own PR still and do the whole thing themselves as they're coaching other people?
From a member standpoint, or
yeah.
Consistency. So, the more often than not, the more times you expose yourself. And in our realm of fitness, it's like, hey, the more you come, the more you learn. Because again, every day is different. You know it. Yesterday's workout is different from this workout. The same as every other day. And whether it's in the fitness space or in life, every day is different. But when you're thrown a new challenge, like, how are you going to react to it? How's your body going to react to it? Because, you know it better than anybody. I mean, you recently went through an injury and you put yourself through, you know, the new cycling realm and things like that, new challenges. But how are you adapting? And that's the beauty of CrossFit, is every day is different. And every day presents itself as, okay, am I going to be good at this or am I going to be bad at this? And then, okay, do I do this at 100% or can I do this at 70%, right? Because every day you just have to do something. Right? At the end of the day, people forget, and I just had this conversation with a member before I left to come here. I was like, hey, every day isn't 100%. You can't do that. And I think that's where people are like intimidated by the fact that, hey, I have to go 100% every day. I'm like, no, you don't. You can give 100% on the day you feel your best. And then the day you don't, hey, you come in and give 30%. That's more than you would have given if you had stayed home and not done anything, you know, and that's okay. Because again, you are better because of it, because you showed up and you walked through the door.
Yeah, I think that can cause a lot of burnout too, because it's so hard for people, like even myself, that like right now I'm like, I kind of tweaked my back a little bit a couple of weeks ago. So I've been kind of, you know, going back and forth whether I'm cycling or whether I'm going back into the gym, depending on what the workout is. But it's a lot easier for me to go cycle than me say, I'm going to go and do this workout, but I'm going to scale back on it, you know, and it's hard. But
yeah,
if you're not pulling back sometimes, even if you're not injured, that can cause more of the burnout there.
Right.
But I think you hit the nail on the head. You have to be adaptable to whatever's thrown at you. And I think that is really the biggest key for success. Some people think it's the harder you work, you know, the wealthier you are, the better looking that you are. Like, no, it's like whoever's the most adaptable is who's going to come out on top at the end of the day.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
So go ahead and keep telling me how did you land into this whole thing? So was it your first year that you moved to Rogers State that you just like joined CrossFit?
No, it was one of those where like we had gone home, my wife and I, she was my girlfriend at the time. We had gone back home to Texas just as I think it was like Christmas holiday. And at that point I was doing fitness outside of soccer practice. So it was like, hey, anything I could do to stay fit. Right. And at that point it was, hey, I went to the YMCA, dude. And I did their Insanity P90X classes that they were running. If you remember those.
Yeah.
I forget the guy who ran those videos. I forget his name. We'll have to go back and look at it.
Oh my gosh. It's a black guy, bald guy.
Yeah. And just, he was
Sean, maybe?
Sean T or something like that. Something like that. So was doing those classes as just a means of fitness, and a gentleman that was a football player at our high school, I ran into him, and I remember this story vividly because it was the turning point of where I'm at now. Ran into him at Applebee's, and he's like, hey man, I know you've been, you know, you're a college soccer player and you need to come try this fitness thing out. It's called CrossFit. And I was like, cool. Where is it? Where do I do it at? And he was like, well, there's this place around the corner down the street. You can go check it out. And it probably wasn't even that afternoon or that next day. My girlfriend and I, we were like, hey, let's go check out that fitness place. Okay, cool. I was not dressed, dude. I was like in cargo shorts and a nice shirt. And we were just out on the town because we're home from college. And I walk into this cinder block building, and these 2 units of men were just working out. And I'll never forget, their names were Bernard and Tarek. And they stopped what they were doing. They were mid-workout. I mean, sweating, shirtless, you know, the works. And they came over to us like, hey, welcome to the place. Like, this is our this is our CrossFit gym. You guys looking to work out? You guys looking to train? And at that point, I was like, this is cool. Like, that was cool to me. Like, people working hard, people throwing down new things. I had no idea what they were doing. And they introduced me. And then from there, did my first workout that day, like that moment. They like stopped what they were doing, put me through my first workout.
In your cargo shorts?
And dude, I was so hooked. They were, the excitement level that they came at me with, it was like, how do I not try this right now? Like, they just stopped what they were doing and they're like, hey, do you want to try this? And I was like, let's go. And Addie did it with me. And do you remember your first workout?
I do. It was, I think it was the Dirty 30.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's most people's infamous first one. So I remember mine. So it was 2 rounds and that's it. So they were like, hey, there's a tree down this alleyway, and it was like a dirt road. There's a tree down this alleyway, run to that tree and come back, and then we'll tell you what to do next. And so they were like guiding me as I'm doing it. I have no idea what I'm doing.
So
dude.
they didn't even show you a workout?
No,
like she's like, do this. And
he's
then
like, I think they wrote it on a board like as I'm there. And so we start, and he's like, okay, so I run. I'm like, cool. I'm like in like Nike Air Maxes or like Nike Dunks or something. So I run there and come back, and he's like, okay, do 15 push-ups. Okay, I'm doing the push-ups, but he's like, go faster. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. And then he teaches me a power clean with an empty barbell. I've never done a power clean in my life. And he shows me it's probably like elbows down. I'm not even catching it right, but he tells me I'm doing a good job. So I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm just like, oh, I got to do another round. I go for that second run, dude. It's like my legs did not want to work. And granted, I've been playing soccer. I've already played a year in college. And I'm like, what is wrong with my legs? They are so heavy. And from there, dude, I was hooked. And then when the time came, and then from there, I trained with them all summer. Time came for me to go back to Oklahoma. I kept up with their workouts, was following it as best as I could in our collegiate gym, trying to figure out and YouTube movements and read articles as much as I could as far as how do I do this? Like, I don't know what a power snatch is. I don't know how to kettlebell swing. I don't know any of this stuff. So it's just, I had to learn it all by myself. And so it was just me working out in our college gym following their programming. And anytime I was home, I was there. And then I was grateful enough to find a CrossFit gym in Claremore in the time I was in school. And that is where my coaching started.
How long, like how many years did it take you?
So I was probably doing that for like a year and a half. And then I came across CrossFit Crua, CRUA. They're no longer affiliated. They're no longer a gym. But it was a father-son run CrossFit gym in Claremore, just down the street from the school. Again, one of those things where like, hey, I was on a run route, saw some people running and didn't really know where they were going. Like, I was like, where are all these people going from? Mind you, nowadays you probably don't follow the people that are running. You're like,
No, you started following them?
Yeah, I went to the gym and I was like, what is this? Are you guys working out? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So came across them. Obviously at that point I was like, oh yeah, this is the place. This is
so this is before, like, because every time I travel, like, I always look up at a cross. Like, I can't get a workout in the gym at the hotel. I'm always like, what's the nearest CrossFit? Yeah. So this is before that. Like, you didn't even know that.
I didn't know they were there, or I just never thought to even think that.
Like, hey, what I have back in Texas in the summer, like, there's probably nothing here.
And maybe and I don't really remember, like, because maybe I did look for a CrossFit gym near me when I was in Oklahoma, and it just never popped up, or just their social media presence just wasn't there. Obviously, social media was brand new back then. This was like 2012, 2013. And so, yeah, it was like somehow, some way I came across them. And then from there, I was there every day. And it was to the unbeknownst knowledge of my coach, because he didn't know I was working out outside of school, which was kind of frowned upon back in the day. And when he found out I did CrossFit, he was like, you better not get hurt. And I'm like, I won't, I promise. I'll do it smart, I promise. So from there, dude, it was like I was there all the time. Like, these were like-minded individuals who enjoyed what I was doing, that I was doing by myself for the most part. And I was there all the time. I mean, I was there in the morning before practice. I would go after school, after I practiced soccer in the afternoon, just hanging out with these people, whether I was just working out or doing and learning, more things like, hey, strongman stuff. Can I pick this up and carry it? Am I good at running? Hey, there were guys there that were better at running that I thought I was good at running, but they're better at running than I am when it comes to mixing it with other, training methodologies. So, okay, can I get better at this? So then it became the rabbit chase of, okay, there are dudes stronger than me. Can I get stronger? While obviously being a collegiate athlete, being safe and doing things smart. And I think that's the biggest thing too, is you have to train smart and you have to know when you've reached your limit. So again, anybody listening, it's like, hey, know your body. Like at the end of the day, your body is always the best indicator to be like, okay, I'm doing a little too much. I need to take a step back. So that's always something I encourage my members to, because I was there and I've done it, and I've done it the wrong way and I've done it the right way. So learn from your coaches. I mean, ask them any and everything.
Yeah, one of the things that you started towards the end of whenever I was there was the barbell club.
Yes, sir.
And it's like, it seems like it's blown up.
It's gotten a lot bigger. It's gotten a lot bigger, and it's been fun.
And at one point, I thought about just doing that and driving out there, just because that is one thing that I feel like has kept me from like getting stronger in certain things, because it's like you have to go back to the basics and like just do them over and over. But it's so hard to like do a workout and be like, the workout,
I didn't sweat, or I wasn't breathing. Oh yeah, barbell's way different. Hard. Yeah, when you're doing a rep or two and it lasts less than 30 seconds and then you rest, a minute or two.
Yeah.
I mean, barbell weightlifters, you guys know. I mean, it's like, but the fun part of it is the same thing with CrossFit, right? Same thing with any sort of fitness. Like you're going to hit a number that's not achievable, and you're like, okay, how do I hit that? And how do I train to get that number? For me recently, that was a back squat PR that I was like, I'm going to hit this.
What was that?
It was 405, and I'd never hit 405 ever. And you know what? For whatever reason, I woke up one day and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this back squat cycle that I have, and I'm going to push myself through it. And it was just 3 days a week. 3 days a week you're squatting, right? And so I disciplined myself to the point where I was like, hey, I'm not missing these days. I can miss all the other days if I don't train, but I'm not missing my squat days. And it came time to hit my max, and I hit it, and I cried. Like it was like one of those like fulfilling moments where it was like, I worked hard for this, and I did, dude. I mean, it was one of those moments where you hit a PR, you feel really proud about it, and you feel proud about the work you put in, and and that's one thing I try. And members were there because they knew it was my max day, and they were like, we want to see you hit it, we want to see you hit it. And I was like, I want them to feel that moment too, because everybody should have a sense of fulfillment and a sense of PRing. Yeah. Like today, dude, I had a lady, and I'm not going to say her name, but she told another member, and then the member told me, and I was like, why didn't you tell me? I called her. I was like, why didn't you tell me? She ran 400 meters for the first time. Like, that is amazing. For anybody starting, like 400 meters in the middle of a workout, that is very hard.
That's her PR.
Yeah, that's her PR. Like, you PR. I was like, you are a badass. You are awesome because you've worked hard and you've put in the time. And I was like, you should be really proud of yourself. I was like, go treat yourself with whatever that is. I was like, go treat yourself because you earned it. And so those are the fulfilling moments as a coach, where it's like, that's why I love doing what I'm doing, because nobody gets celebrated every now and then. Like, you have to celebrate people.
You just answered the question of do you get better results from getting coached by somebody that is chasing after it every single day, just like you are? Like, dude, that right there answered it there. And for anybody listening and thinking of a squat, it's a CrossFit squat, meaning like you got to get down low. I remember my max squats at like Gold's Gym.
Okay.
Those were not
the same. Not the same. Yeah, you don't have a coach showing you the standard, and the coaches hold you to a standard. I mean,
well, there's some other like sports that still
absolutely
count that as
absolutely. But at the end of the day, too, you're putting in work, right? Yeah. It's not diminishing anybody who's putting in work and may not be hitting, hit below parallel squats.
Yeah.
If you can squat 600, you could squat 600. I don't even know if I've ever unracked 600.
Bro, you've seen those though. I'm talking about that. They're just like,
oh yeah. You're like, I don't know about that, but
you're like, it is 600, but is it really 600?
But is it really? Yeah.
One of the things that you and I have in common is that I feel like both of us kind of fell into what our careers have turned into by accident. I don't know if you've ever heard my story, but like I started at the bank as a part-time teller. Thought it was going to be like a 6-month gig, and turn into what I'm doing today. Mm-hmm. And dude, I love what I do. I mean, it's very hard, but it's very fulfilling, and it's, you know, has blessed me with a great life. And what for you, I think that, you know, you talk about, I didn't know what I was going to do after college.
Oh, dude, I 100% did not know. I graduated with a Bachelor in Business Marketing, and I did not know where that was going to take me, if I'm being honest. Like, I was head over heels over my sport, over heels over fitness, but that was not why I was going to school. I mean, I was going to school to, you know, most likely find a business that would hire me. And at that point, I hadn't worked. Like, through school, I had no job. I mean, I would try to work somewhere, and it just wouldn't pan out. It would be like, hey, you know, coach has surprise practice, or hey, we have a random pop-up scrimmage and I have to miss. And it was always like, all right, we're gonna have to let you go because you keep missing days. I'm like, I get it. Like, I totally understand that. And so the only job I was able to sustain in school was I worked in the admissions office. And because they knew my schedule, and they're like, hey, if you need to go at any time, just let us know. And I was like, okay, cool, because that's going to be so random.
So you think that probably played a part into, like, what the heck am I going to do since I haven't had any type of work experience?
Yeah, and so again, the fear of what am I going to do? Like, my wife had a really good, stable job, and it was like, okay, time came to graduate, and it was like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, I had just finished my big senior year projects, which gratefully has led me to what I do now, which was, hey, you know what? Choose a business in town, right? Business marketing degree. So I was like, hey, choose a business in town and help grow their business, you know, in whatever way that is, whether that's social media, whether that's a following, whether that's helping them with their internal workings or their marketing. And so it was like, okay, I was already working out at the gym, the CrossFit gym, all the time. So I was like, hey, let me coach here. Teach me how to coach here. I'll follow whatever you want me to follow, as long as you just teach me how to lead people, right? Lead people. And so that led into me coaching there for the final 2 years of my school. You know, then I got my CrossFit certification, and then I graduated, and I was like, okay, I want to keep doing this, but I need to do it kind of somewhere bigger, somewhere, because we were going to move anyway, kind of away from Claremore, probably in the Tulsa area. And that's where I landed at CrossFit Eclipse. It was like, hey, you know, I'm asking around gyms, nobody's hiring. Hey, you should go, you know, reach out to Aaron. He might be looking for coaches. So I reached out to him, and he was like, yeah, I'm kind of looking, you know, we have, you know, a couple of part-time coaches who were leading the gym already. They had a community that was already established. And so I was like, okay, cool. Awesome. He's like, when do you want me to be here? And he was like, you just come whenever. So I went at 5 a.m. I was like, I would show up early. He was like, if you can come early, come early. I was like, I'll be there. So I was there from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. and just was there around the community, talking to as many people as I could, learning from him as much as I could. Aaron's our owner. And from there, I've never left.
Which, by the way, I've never been to a CrossFit gym where any type of business where you go and then you know, when you go to a place and then you're like, I bet that guy owns this. That I could have sworn that you were the owner whenever I first went there, because of how passionate you are about everything that you do. Like, this is not a job to you. This is like your calling. And you're one of the very few people that I look at, and I know that you enjoy what you're doing. And I think it's easy to forget that we're so blessed to say that we love what we do, because there's so many people that just hate their jobs, really, their careers even. So talk to me about what was it that made you feel like this is like, was it because that was the only opportunity that you had, to where like you were like, this is the only thing I've known how to do? Or like, what was the turning point of making this like a career that you have today that you still enjoy so much?
I think it was the accomplishments of others that was guided what I would hope was by me, right? Seeing someone, you know, run a 400 meters for the first time and being super excited about that. Seeing their accomplishments, being a coach after being an athlete for so long, and being able to guide people to better versions of themselves. That's why I love what I do. I mean, it's, again, like you said, it's like I mentioned earlier, it's hard to wake up and go do what you do at 5 a.m. if you don't love it. And there's been plenty of times where I'm like, man, am I doing the right thing? And then you go to work and you're like, someone PR something, or someone says, hey, my doctor told me I don't have to take my medication anymore because of XYZ and the things that I've been doing to take care of myself inside the gym. Like, that's why you do it. Those are the individuals that make you realize, okay, you're doing something really good in this world. And that's why I wake up every day, and to do what I do, and to do it for as long as I have. And I hope to do it for a really long time, and to continue to be successful and grow the business and the barbell club and the CrossFit gym and everything that goes with it. Because again, it makes people better, which in hindsight makes their job better, makes their lifestyle better. And again, it makes my family better as well, because they've lived with me through the highs and lows of being a coach and working a lot of hours. And I can't thank them enough for that. So,
man, that's so good. And it makes me think of, I always think that in this world, there's people that think that there's two groups of people. One group is like people that just need help.
mm-hmm.
And then the other group is like people who help people. But in reality, we're just one big group of people that all need help.
Oh, and people need people, dude. People need people.
We can all help other people.
Yeah.
And people forget that the more that you help others, like the more like fulfillment that you honestly get from even helping yourself sometimes. So that's so good. So anybody that's listening that it's like, man, I just don't know what it is that I want to do, or I'm not happy at my job,
mm-hmm.
right? Like, I'm not saying like you should quit and find a passion, but it's like you can just start by just helping others. And then maybe the job that you hate right now, it's the calling that you were called to do, and you just haven't found that joy yet.
Yeah, and absolutely. And that's the same thing too, like talk to people. I think that's the biggest thing with what drew me to the fitness, gym that I'm at, the realm that I'm in, is that it forces you to talk to people, and you have to learn about them, and you have to understand their why, and you get to know their family and their reason behind why they're there. And sometimes, dude, people sometimes will just empty everything out on you, and you end up being, their psychiatrist in that moment. And you just listen. You sit back and listen, right? Whether you have a good idea or a bad idea, sometimes people just need people to listen. So just listen to people and be there for people. I think that's one thing that's taught me over the last few years, is like, hey, people need people, even when you don't think they need it. Because there's a lot of times people will go in and I'm like, you were really excited the other day and you came in really energetic, and today you didn't get that. And so you go up and ask why. I'm like, hey, are you okay? Like, are you good? And they're like, no, I'm not good. And then obviously they tell you, and then you do your best to empathize with them and talk to them through it and see if there is a better side to it and what they can do or what you can do as a friend and a mentor. And so people need people, and as long as you can be there for somebody, even if you don't think they need it, just ask. Like, that's one of the things I think that's helped me understand my purpose, is just being there for people and understanding that, hey, there's a bigger thing to this than just picking up a barbell and a dumbbell. Like, I want people to understand that I'm there for them, and our coaching staff is there for them. But you also have to realize people aren't going to come up to you, and you have to kind of approach them, and you have to kind of not necessarily pull it out of them, but see if there is something wrong, and then be there for them when they need it.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody's going to find a lot of that in every single CrossFit gym that they go to.
No, or gym in general. I mean, think about it. Like,
no, I mean, well, one thing that we didn't get to talk about that I really wanted to maybe we hit on is part of the reason why it feels like breaking up with a girlfriend when you leave a gym is because there's community there.
Oh yeah,
and that's one of the biggest things that this world is lacking so much of. The more technology that we have, the harder it is to find community. And yeah, I mean, I was at the gym that I was at before for 7 years.
Yeah.
And then it was so easy for me to just go up to somebody face to face and say, hey, I want to cancel my membership. Like, I remember the only person I really knew there was the guy that I would work out with. And I just had to tell him like, hey, I'm going to do CrossFit. You can come with me or not. Yeah. And then over here, it's like, even the people that you're not close with, it's weird. Like,
but like, they won't say, like, they're like, where are you going?
Yeah. Like I said, I've been going back and forth between cycling and CrossFit, and I came back and this week I did CrossFit 3 times this week, and I'm just like, where's this person at? Where's this person at? Like, you notice that. Like, you would never notice that at a global gym.
Yeah. You're like, Tammy's not here. And like, hey, Tom's not here. Where are they at? Where'd they go? And then you start asking around, and they're like, oh, they left. And you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
Those are my dudes or my girl.
My last question for you is, where do you see CrossFit going in the next 5 years? Like, we talk about one of the biggest most intriguing parts about CrossFit to me is that how fast it has evolved. Like, if you look back at the first CrossFit Games, which was back in 2007, right?
Something like that, yeah.
I believe, like, I remember seeing a video of like somebody doing a clean and jerk of 155, I think, maybe 135.
It might have been less than that, dude.
And they were like, you would have thought they were struggling.
Yeah, but back then, dude, that was like, you were strong.
Right now, if you're not clean and jerking 225 pounds as a male athlete. Like you're not even anywhere close to potentially doing anything with this.
Yeah.
So it's moved so fast. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that it's even graduated from a double under to
a triple.
Has there been triples in the games?
No, but they're probably coming. And now they've got double crossovers.
Yeah.
I think it's like anything. Then everything evolves. People get better. Athletes get better.
But CrossFit has evolved the fastest because it's the newest sport out there.
Yeah.
So where do you see it going the next 5 years?
Man, it's just going to continue to grow. I think as you watch, you know, the social media aspect of it all, people are doing amazing things. And so whether that's, hey, the guys are clean and jerking over 300, almost 400. Girls are clean and jerking 200, 300 plus now. So from a strength aspect, everybody's getting stronger and people are moving faster. And so that's where I think from a competitive level, at that elite level, I mean, you have to be putting in a lot of work and training a lot and putting yourself in different realms of fitness. Like you cycle. A lot of CrossFitters don't cycle. Like that is a training methodology that at a competitive high level, you kind of need to learn if you're looking at going to the CrossFit Games, which is obviously a big stretch for some people. I mean, obviously CrossFit in its own right is just general fitness. And so that's where you also have to remember people who go into a CrossFit gym or wanting to go to a CrossFit gym, like people aren't going to the games.
No. So can you answer that real quick? Because people ask me that don't do CrossFit. They're like, so have you gone to the games? And I'm like, they don't realize
absolutely not.
How hard, like explain to somebody that doesn't know CrossFit, how hard is it to go to the games?
I mean, it's hard. I mean, you have to do some phenomenal things. Now, granted, are there people in this world who could probably do it within a year or two? I think it depends on their background and their athletic ability and their strength. But for the most part, again, most of us going to a CrossFit gym, we're just there for general fitness. We're going to go work out for an hour, feel good about our efforts, feel good about ourselves, and then go home and then be able to be more capable of doing things in this world outside of just, you know, sitting around and not doing anything. So I think that's why everybody loves it, because it's like they are more capable. They're the grandmothers who can pick up their grandkids and run around with them at 70, 80 years old. Or they're the college athlete who now has a redefined purpose of community and teams and being able to rekindle that flame of fitness as opposed to hanging up the boots and never doing anything again.
Yeah, dude, I've seen some fit older people that is crazy, and I'm like, I hope to be there or pass that after.
Do that for a long time, man, because you have a son, I have a daughter, so we've got to be able to keep up with him, man. So,
dude, I could have kept going. I mean, I had a great conversation with you. This is why I love doing this. Like, I just don't think that we would have gotten the opportunity to have like a conversation like this outside of this. But I thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Yeah.
Anything else that you have to tell anybody that's whether has been thinking about maybe doing something for their health / fitness, or even somebody that is not really enjoying what they're doing in their work life and their career, and you know, anything else you have?
Man, the most recent thing I heard, and it has stuck with me over the last few weeks, is like, you grow through what you go through. And so when you're looking at yourself and you're like, hey, I don't really like what I'm going through, or what I'm going through is really hard, keep going, right? Because you're only going to get better. And that's what I tell my members, like, hey, it's hard right now, but if you keep practicing, if you keep trying, if you keep putting in the work, like, you're going to look back 2 months from now and you're going to be like, wow, I remember when I couldn't do that. I remember when I couldn't do a double under, or I couldn't run 400 meters. And now you have a self-appreciation for everything that you just went through when it was hard, when times were telling you that you should have stopped or wanted to stop, because you grow through what you go through.
That's so good, man. Where can people find you?
CrossFit Eclipse, Nate 24 Fit on social media, Eclipse Barbell Club, CrossFit Eclipse. That's where I'm at. If I'm not.
And dude, you are one of the few people that actually is posting content out there of your fitness, and keep doing it, dude, because like, I feel like you see a lot of that on social media, but I don't think anybody locally is doing that. And
I try, man. As you know, it's tough. It's tough to film yourself and have time to edit it and whatnot. Yeah. So I do my best like anybody else. And so when I have time, I try, and then hopefully it inspires somebody to come try it out for themselves.
Man, thanks so much for being here.
Dude, thank you so much, bro.